portions of this show are recorded. Strap in and be prepared.
You just heard Baby J about 3 minutes give his entire A to Z on what was going on. I didn't interrupt you.
I don't even like I got to everything, honestly.
No, you didn't get to everything.
Interesting guests.
Kelly Graves, Mike Parker, Josh Pate, Melissa Lombardi, Yogi Roth, who said that Justin and I are smart.
Sharp opinions.
I can see Dan Lanning sitting in his office, rubbing his hands together and saying, yeah, bring it on. You're just giving me juice.
I think you could be the type of team that has guys that excel in certain things. You don't need somebody that's great at everything. You need to be able to put guys in position where they're going to succeed.
And some smiles.
Is this thing on?
Is this thing working? No, that's why you got to do this. You got to go.
Hello?
Hello? Testing, testing,
it's like the little
testing.
girl in Nemo where she's tapping on the glass.
Fishy! Fishy, wake up, Fishy!
It's Danny Havel.
We have to be more specific. We have a lot of pickle things going on,
know.
apparently.
Justin Grossweiner.
It's a Schwarbomb. That's a man right there hitting that ball.
Danny and Justin starts now on Fox Sports Eugene and Newport.
Hello, neighbors, and welcome high atop the Delta Triad, the Crystal Palace, the Bigfoot Beverages Studios in Eugene and Newport, Fox Sports Eugene and Newport. It's the Danny and Justin radio program. You can follow us on Twitter and Blue Sky, Danny and Justin. You can also go at bigger bets with one instead of the I to follow us there. The games for tomorrow that we pick for big bets are up for you to participate in. I'll do the whole read thing tomorrow. I'm not going to spend 45 seconds of my life reading it right now, but just leave it this way. If you beat our best scorer, you get a really cool prize. And if you don't, Special Olympics of the South Coast gets a nice donation. So that's what I'll leave it at. Thanks for tuning in for Weekend Eve. We've got our Big Ten Power Rankings coming up. We've got the People's Commissioner. The next college football commissioner, Josh Pate, is going to join us. Lots to talk about. Coaching openings, the college football playoff rankings, Oregon, Iowa. His thoughts will be coming up shortly. I am Danny Howell. Right over there is my tag team partner. We call him Baby J. He's Justin Grossweiner. What a boy.
I can't imagine a better person to talk to today than Josh Pate.
Love it.
It's great.
Such a great friend of the program and so solid with his takes. You can see him on ESPN now, Yahoo, On3. He's all over the place. And he spends time with us.
He does.
Little old Danny and Justin in Eugene, Oregon.
How about that?
We're just like a pimple on the you-know-what of the sports world, but here we are.
But we got the guy.
And you got your Exploding Whales hat on today.
I do. I wasn't wearing it for a while because we had some different headphones, and I was looking at the hat, and for those that are listening, my hat's white. It's a white hat with the logo on it, and I was noticing that there was a little discoloration in the hat, and I was wondering what it was coming from.
It's the headset.
It was the headset.
The
it had
headphones.
been constantly being rubbed on that same spot.
So I got new headsets.
So we have new headsets, and so I don't think it's rubbing off. So I'm willing to wear the hat now again.
Okay, and you're sporting the Fox Sports Eugene and Newport hoodie.
This is like the beginning of a play-by-play broadcast when they're talking about the uniforms.
I do that every time.
Yeah.
I say the color of the uniforms, the helmets, the socks.
Very Pat Hughes of you.
Thank you. That's where I got it from.
Yeah.
But I'm getting ready for my... By the way, I'm going to be in Coos Bay, North Bend tomorrow.
High school playoffs?
High school playoffs, Crescent Valley and Marshfield. It's a number 2 15 matchup in the 4A playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Junction City's hosting a game. I think Marist is... I don't know if Marist is hosting a game or not. I think they are. I don't know. If they're a 9 seed, then they're on the road. I think they're in the 9-8 matchup, so they might be on the road. And did you hear the controversy? By the way,
Philomath thing?
Yeah.
I did hear about that, yeah.
Philomath wins over Sweet Home, actually earns their way into the 4A playoffs, yet there was a player. So in high school football in the state of Oregon, and I think it's actually a rule throughout the entire country, is that it's kind of like a pitch count in baseball for pitchers. Players for football cannot play more than 6 quarters without a 48-hour rest. So if you go over that limit, and this happens especially later on in the season, you got players who are playing JV will play the whole game, and then if they come up to the varsity roster, they need at least 48 hours before they can play in the varsity game.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't happen, so there was an ineligible player for Philomath, So they have to forfeit the win against Sweet Home, and then Sweet Home gets into the postseason.
I just feel terrible for the kid, and it's not. I don't think it's his fault. I mean,
how are you going to keep it? That's what the adults are for.
It's exactly and here this kid probably thinks that he ruined the season for everybody, and now they can't play in the playoffs. And I just think it's I don't know. It just sucks. It just really sucks.
And the thing, and with the fan base as well, because I've been reading some of the notes that have been coming up on this. Listen. That's on your administration,
Absolutely.
The coaches, and everybody else. Do not blame the OSA because it's a stupid rule. The rule was there. They didn't just make up the rule that week and impose it arbitrarily. Everyone plays by the same basic set of rules, and that is one of the most basic ones in terms of player participation. So it's horrible for the Warriors, but that's the rule. So learn from it and go, you know what? I guarantee you that'll never happen again. At Philomath.
Certainly at Philomath, no. That will not be a mistake that's made again.
And so Sweet Home makes the postseason, the 4A ranks. Got some good 5A games. You got Friday Night Live tomorrow night.
Yeah, Willamette playing Mountainside.
So what are the feature games tomorrow night for you guys?
So we're not doing feature games this time. Well, we're doing multiple games. We usually do one game. That's our featured game of the week.
Okay, so there are multiple games. You're going to be focusing on
we're going to focus on Thurston and Willamette.
Okay, good.
So be exciting there. I talked to Hunter Vaughn this week as well.
Justin Stark? Did you get a hold of Justin?
I did get ahead of Justin Stark and
known Justin for a lot of years,
and Josh Wilcox. So really enjoy talking to him. Or excuse me, Josh Line. Sorry.
No,
you just. Well, I've done a lot of interviews yesterday.
We were talking 4A, and so you were going to the Junction City offensive coordinator,
right?
Josh Wilcox.
So I got to talk to Josh Line and Justin Stark. It was funny when I called Justin. He's like, "Hey, this is Justin." I was like, "This is also Justin." So got a laugh out of that. I think that got the interview started well. But no, that's what we're doing this week. A little bit different for us on Friday Night Live, but excited about the playoffs. I mean, some fun matchups this year, and we're really intrigued to see what's going to happen.
And you and B squared?
Yep, that's correct.
Tomorrow. Okay. So, by the way, if you want to call in, my game starts at 5:30 tomorrow night. The kickoff is hour and a half before you guys even get on the air because the 4A, 3A volleyball state tournament is happening in Coos Bay and North Bend this weekend. So Marshfield girls are in the 4A volleyball state championships. They play, I think, at like 3 o'clock tomorrow. And if they win, they play at 8. And so the athletic department down at Marshfield asked Crescent Valley, hey, we're going to have people traveling back and forth between the gymnasium and the football field. Would you be okay if we move the game time up so we can have our fan base support, both squads? Because Marshfield's a highly ranked team. They're probably going to move through and play on Friday night. And Crescent Valley said yes. So that's why it's a very odd. We are going to be the first playoff football game at 5:30 tomorrow. So it's going
to make your life a lot easier. I know.
To get back because we got Iowa and Oregon on Saturday. We're going to talk a little bit more about that ball game today. Of course, we got Josh Pate. We've got our Big Ten power rankings, but
hey, don't forget about the Blazers either. Getting the first
huge
loss for
win
the Thunder
over Oklahoma City.
Big comeback.
I was going back and forth with Travis last night after the game, and I'll read you the text.
Okay, I was curious about this actually. What his thoughts were.
All right, so did you call it up? Did you call the game up?
I have the line 121, 119.
Right, and it's the first loss by OKC. Yeah. They are the defending world champions.
Correct. Yeah, and it was a huge comeback for the Blazers, who were down 41-21 after the first quarter.
It was bad.
So I got in here, and I was talking to Woody, and he was like, we were listening to the game, and it was like a 8-point game at this point in the second quarter, and he was like shocked. He was like, whoa, like this is a close game? I was like, I guess so. Like I'm just tuning in now. So they basically just came back after that first quarter. They won the second and the third quarter and the fourth quarter, but they had a small margin in that third quarter. But really, it just feels like one of those wins that's like so surprising. I mean, you just get down super early in a game against the best team in the league, and they're the defending champions. And it just goes to show this Blazers team, their defense is going to keep them in games.
Absolutely.
Because, go on.
No. So, you're right.
I was just going to say, I mean, even after a 20-point deficit, like if you're just going to have the grit to not let that balloon, and the NBA, 20 points, like at this point in where we are in scoring, like 20 points is not a crazy deficit, especially after one quarter. So good to see them have that fight, and looking at them now as they're 5-3. not too bad.
The big kahuna, Kelly Graves, just texted me, says he was at the game last night.
Oh, he was?
He's been at all 3 of their wins.
He's a good luck charm.
And he really likes this team.
I like the team, too.
The big kahuna says yes. Big thumbs up. So Travis texted me last night because I just told him, I said, great win. And if you did not hear here on Fox Sports Eugene the call of the last 2 minutes of that game, Travis, and he's not on the air right now with us, so it's not going to be like I'm sucking up to him because he's not listening. He's in the air with the team flying to Miami right now. They're traveling a couple of days early before their game on Saturday. I said, it was an outstanding call. I mean, Travis keeps things. He's not a yeller, but he puts so much enthusiasm behind his call. And he just said, thanks, brother. That was as fun of a game as we've had in a long time. So there was all the O's there.
Feels like kind of a statement victory for them.
I think so. In the early part of the season with, some of the injuries, with a couple of point guards going down, with, no Lillard, with no Scoot.
And it was a little bit shorthanded of a Thunder team. Let's get the fair qualifier there.
Yeah, but the Lakers were really shorthanded, and the Blazers kind of laid an egg a couple of nights before that.
I'm not trying to take away from it. I'm just saying that it's a Thunder team that's when we want to beat them, right?
Yeah. I mean, win those games at home. I mean, listen, if you can start making Moda Center again a hard place for an opposing team to come in and play, and it gets a little stilted when it comes professional. Because, the collegiate atmosphere becomes much more vociferous. It becomes much more in your face when it comes to a home court or home field advantage. And that's what we want Matt Knight to be. That's what we want Gil Coliseum to be. That's what we want Reeser and Austin to be. But when it comes to the professional ranks, unless you start getting later on in the season or postseason, it just kind of feels like it's business. It doesn't. But if you can make Moda Center kind of like one of those places, and I think it can be, loud.
It can get loud there.
And oh yeah, I've been in there when it's gotten loud, and it's fantastic when it gets loud in there.
It is. It's
the
a great
crowd gets into it.
Yeah.
So that's good. Signature win in the early part of the season. Good on Tiago Splitter, the interim head coach. Let's see how long that lasts. I think there's going to be a tipping point here in the next month or two where I think by the beginning of the year we kind of figure out what's going to go on with Chauncey. And I don't want to distract from anything.
Dwell on it, yeah.
But I just think that there's going to have to be a decision made.
Well,
on what they do.
I think if you
can't stay in limbo forever.
No, you can't. I 100% agree.
Right.
That's the really tricky part about the situation is you don't want this to last.
And we're not
forever.
advocating one way or the other. Just no. We're not going to advocate one way or the other. I'm just saying that I think for the good of the team and the franchise moving forward, the new ownership coming in, they're going to have to make a decision.
Right. And it gets interesting if you have this team comes out and they play really well and Tiago looks like a great head coach. Like, what do you do?
This will be an interesting road trip. You got Miami, Orlando, then you go New Orleans, and is that you or me?
That was me.
Sorry. Okay. Yeah, because I turned my phone off. And then you go Houston, Dallas. 5-game.
That's a good.
That's going to be a good test. And I think we talked about it with Travis when we had him on this week. Was this will be a pretty good litmus test to see where this team is going to be, where they need to go, how they're going to react. I asked him about rotation. He was like, I thought we had a rotation, and then people got injured.
Right.
Blake Wesley gets injured.
Yeah,
and that kind of really took away a lot of the guard minutes away. But, let's see how long Drew Holiday can sustain his energy for the season. That's always been kind of a question with him. That was the only knock that was on him, is that sometimes he'll check out.
Well, I think as much as anything, he's been on a really good team over the last few years with the Celtics.
Yeah.
I mean, they had so many guys, I think, kind of had the ability to check out a few games and not necessarily need to make that kind of impact.
But am I wrong on that? That's kind of the perception of him, is that sometimes he'll just check out.
I think maybe. I think for this team, we're not seeing that. And I think he recognizes that he's one of those guys right now that
love it.
You feel so confident when the ball is in his hands in late game situations. I don't know if you wanted to see him just ISO and break down the defense in that way, like at the end of games so much. But he's certainly a guy that you feel very confident in his leadership, his ability to make the right decision, and I think that's paying off for them right now. I thought was interesting in this game was that we talked to Travis a little bit about living and dying by the three, and he doesn't think long-term that will be the case.
Right.
I think they did a little bit in this game because they shot overall 44% from three, only 41% total for the game. So they shot actually better from three than they did from two. So it definitely helped keep them in this game. They went through a couple stretches where they just had 4 or 5 in a row and would go on a little run. So, I'm impressed. I have to say, I wasn't sure how this season would start with the whole Chauncey thing, and just coming into the season anyways. I mean, there were so many interesting things and questions about what this team would look like regardless of that situation, which made that whole thing so much more fascinating, but not in a good way, I guess you would say. But
intriguing is probably the word you're looking for.
I mean, it's just there's so many intriguing sort of real life and basketball storylines colliding on this team.
There were so many things. By the way, Danny and Justin, Fox Sports Eugene and Newport, Bigfoot Beverages Studio, the Oregon Man Clinic's hotline at 541-343-5673. Bigger bets, big bets tomorrow from Coquel Casino. Your opportunity to win a 2-night stay at Coquel Casino, $100 on your player's card. You can't use it for sports betting. Got to be 21 or older, and you can't have one. We've already crowned 2 winners. The fans have come through twice in the 3 weeks we've done this with victories. Your odds are pretty good right now. We need to step up our game. We'll do our picks on the last segment tomorrow. But I think what was interesting getting back, and we'll kind of put a loop on the Blazers story, is there was much more happening off the court than what we were concentrating on the court before the season started, with Tom Dunn and the new ownership group, stepping up. And that still is in the works. It hasn't been approved yet, or Board of Governors need to go sign off on it. It's probably going to happen. There's no question there.
Lillard.
And Damian Lillard, off the court, knew that he was not going to see the court this year. But his presence in the locker room, in practice, off the floor, that type of, and welcoming him back. And then what happened with the coaching staff, what happened with Chauncey. I mean, one day into the season, all of a sudden, there's this, and I'll just say, and we did, again, touch on it, how much that could have been, all of those things could have been a huge distraction to this team, especially a 100%. Younger team like the Blazers are. Much more swayed by emotional things that are going on off the floor, just concentrating on the floor has been a credit to them.
Well, that's typical, you would say. Maybe not necessarily this team. You have some young guys that I think are pretty mature. Shaden Sharp is a guy that's always been pretty mature. So it's sort of...
But overall, this is a very young team
Very
still.
young team. I feel like even guys like Denny Avdia, he's super young, really. I mean, 26, I think is his age, 26, 27, which is not necessarily like a baby in the NBA.
It's younger than you.
It is a little bit younger than me at this point. But my point is, it feels like this has a team that's young but mature, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, they have to grow up fast.
They have had to.
And Daddy's gone right
now. We love
Head
the
coach
phrase trial by fire. And it's certainly been trial by fire for the Blazers so far.
Yep. So, by the way, speaking of the Big Kahuna and Oregon Ducks women's basketball, they are back on the floor Saturday afternoon. Philip, MKA, Montana, the Grizz come into town, 2 p.m., and then you also get a chance to see them on Tuesday night against Grand Canyon at 6 p.m. Army comes in the following Sunday, so you have a nice little gap between Tuesday and Sunday. And then the Oregon women go out on the road against Washington State on the 19th of November, back home against Utah State. That pretty much, well, we'll have a couple more in November to wind up. But we'll have the Big Kahuna back on. We'll have Kelly Graves back on. He's always a great guest on the program. So
always.
Yeah, and then Dana Altman's squad as well. They had their 1-point win over Hawaii, and they've got Rice coming up. They've got Oregon State coming up. They've got a nice little home stretch as well. Yeah, he is. He still is. We love Coach Altman.
We do,
but we're with him right now. It's just they got some things they can fix. You got to win them. You got to win. You got to win. Just move on. You got to win. All right, we come back. Josh Pate, the People's Commissioner, our favorite, from Yahoo Sports, from On3, from ESPN, Bussin' with the Boys. He's got his own program on YouTube. He joins us next. Let's talk coaching search. Let's talk Oregon, Iowa. Let's talk college football playoff. Justin's got concerns. Yeah. We're gonna air them out with Josh.
I'm so glad.
Next.
It's gonna be great.
On the Danny and Justin radio program. Stay tuned, friends. Weekend Eve here on the Danny and Justin radio program, live from the Bigfoot Beverages studios in Eugene and Newport. Thanks for tuning in on Fox Sports, wherever and however. You can also listen to us online and also on the podcast, Danny and Justin. If you miss anything, you can go right there, Danny and Justin. Just type that in wherever you podcast. We're there for you, because we care. That's all I can say here on a Thursday. I say it every day, but we do care about you. Thanks for tuning in. Let's head on over to the Oregon Man Clinic's hotline at 541-343-5673. He is a much returned guest, if that makes any sense. He's been around for a little while. He is on 3 Sports. You can see him on Bussin' with the Boys, ESPN. He's got his own show on YouTube, which drops Tuesdays, Thursdays, that's tonight. And Sundays, it's the great Josh Pate, the People's Commissioner of College Football. Josh, thanks for coming back onto the program. So the college football playoff rankings dropped, and the first alliteration of that. And there is some consternation here in the studios on that. So did they get it right?
I know what you mean. It was one of my first reactions. I did look at that. I said, that's interesting. Oregon a little bit lower than I assumed they'd be. I got to see how the rest of this plays out. Some of this, well, first off, it's all in Oregon's hands because if they just went out, they're fine. But I think a lot of it is also still in the hands of USC, of Washington. And by that, I mean, in the world where Oregon loses another game, I'm not a big fan of how the Penn State game is being discussed, okay, because I believe that Oregon should get a ton of credit for that win. Mm-hmm. I am a big believer that everything that happened after that was predicated on Oregon doing what they did to Penn State. But the committee doesn't see it that way. The stat folks don't see it that way. So you're not going to be able to hang your hat on that win as your big quality win. So, you know, if you went on the road, you lost to Iowa this week. But you go on and beat USC and beat Washington. Those are two ranked teams right now. I assume they may or may not be down the road, especially if you add at least one more loss into each of their respective portfolios. So I just wonder, you know, in a world where Oregon's 10-2, you tell me at the beginning of the season they're a two-loss team. I can't imagine them being left out. Mm-hmm. And I still think they'd probably have the inside track, but it could get muddy there. Mm-hmm. So it's a long-winded way of saying I think they kind of sort of got it right, but it could get a little weird down the stretch.
And we've seen the way that the 12-team playoff has played out last year, and now we can kind of project the way that it's looking this season. Do you like the 12-team playoff?
I didn't want to go to it. I don't mind it. I did not want to go that route. But, you know, if we could go back in time to like 2008, before bowl season lost its luster, before a lot of things lost their luster that the expanded playoff era caused to lose its luster, I'd just go back to that. But once we started going down that road, we probably needed to get to where we are now. My problem has been, and always will be with playoff expansion. I know the people involved in playoff expansion, and it is not in their nature to stop when it's good enough. Because good enough is not enough for them because they don't have the same goal. They don't have the same end goal in mind as maybe the three of us would who are just fans of the sport.
Right.
And so we're sitting at 12 right now. 12 has worked out okay. One of my biggest fears was it would completely erode critical value on regular season games. And I really think it's kind of crisis averted on that. I have not felt that to the degree I feared I would feel it. But as soon as I say that, the biggest, news items are constantly, well, we may be going to 16, we may be going to 20, we may be going to 24, and it's just like it never ends. And I guess that's really the biggest fear.
You can see him on ESPN, on 3 Sports, Yahoo Sports. He's the future commissioner of college football. It's Josh Pate. You can also follow him on Twitter and also on the old Instagram at Josh Pate CFB, and he joins us on the Danny and Justin radio program. Does any more angst as we get into, and we just had the first alliteration of what we're going to see for the playoff, but if there's more angst, if we get into some kerfuffle in December and January, an opportunity for the Big Ten and the SEC to kind of exert more power over what happens in the postseason if we don't get it right this year?
Yeah, I ask myself that all the time because I'm wondering a couple of different things could happen here. Mm-hmm. You could have a world where a bunch of teams just don't seem to be playing each other in the ACC, for example. And so you got a bunch of one-loss teams. This could also happen in the Big 12. I mean, the Big 12, you saw the rankings just like I did when they got released Tuesday night. You got Brigham Young top 10. You got Texas Tech top 10, but Utah is sitting right there at number 13. And no one in their right mind in the SEC or the Big Ten is going to ever look at the Big 12 and think, yeah, that's comparable to what we do. But that's a conference that really stands odds of getting to maybe an outside shot of getting 3 teams in right now. And if that were to happen, and especially if it were to happen because the SEC is just a car wreck, and there are a lot of 2- and 3-loss teams down there, I can't imagine the SEC stands around much longer and just decides to go along with that. So I think it would cause a lot of anger there. I think they were angry last year, even though I candidly kind of thought the committee got it right.
Yeah.
I think the SEC was angry last year.
Yeah.
Because the first 3 teams that were left out were all SEC teams. Now, it's one thing to be angry. How do you channel the anger? Where do you channel and aim that anger at? What is the end goal? What do you want to do as a reaction? That's what I don't really know the answer to that.
And I'm glad you brought that up because the head coach of the team that I want to talk about next talked about how there were only 4 SEC teams. Steve Sarkisian in Texas. This is the one, Josh, I'm going to be very honest with you. I look at these rankings, and the one I don't really understand, the one I struggle with, is Texas at 11. Can you talk me into Texas at 11?
It does. Well, let me ask you this. Do you want to be talked into Texas at 11?
He does
I'm
not.
open to it, but no.
He does not.
I had a little bit of a tough time. I thought they'd be in the 12 to 15 range.
Okay.
So, 11 was probably a smidge higher, and Miami was lower than I thought they would be. So there's the counter, I guess, to that. I think you got a couple of things going on here. All right. So the first one is if there is an ability to have the best loss in the country, they probably have it. I would say going on the road in Columbus, Ohio, week 1, and losing by a possession, however you remember that game, however you remember it, but it was a 14-7 final. That is that committee's entire refocusing on record strength. By that, they mean we're not going to punish you as much for scheduling big games and losing them close. I think they really wanted to hammer that point home. I think they also reflected it a little bit with Iowa being at 20, whereas the AP doesn't even have Iowa ranked. But the committee looked and said, you guys played Indiana. You played them closer than anyone has. You're going to get minimal punishment for that. It's almost like you get a little bit of a reward for a close loss against a good team. So I think that's probably why Texas is where they are. And I also – now, look, I could take you deep down the rabbit hole of how I think the Florida loss is actually not a terrible loss, but I know I'd lose most people on that. I'm just a believer. Some of these teams in the SEC that have bad records – like South Carolina played Alabama close the other day, for example. I don't really know of any other conference where a top 5 team could go on the road and face a team that may be below 500 this year, and the below 500 team has the 3 best athletes on the field because you got Dylan Stewart out there, and you got Nick Harbor out there, and you got Lenore Sellers out there. And what that means is nothing over the course of a season. Over a given 4-quarter period on a Saturday, they can be tough outs if you get their fastball. And I thought Texas got Florida's fastball that day. So it's not excuse-making. I think it's more maybe trying to contextualize the resume. But as sure as you say that, anyone outside of the South just starts screaming in the air, that's SEC bias. What is this? This has no place here.
He is the People's Commissioner. It's Josh Pate joining us. You can follow him, Josh Pate CFB, on Twitter. They're headed to Lubbock for the Fall Don't Lie Tour, BYU at Texas Tech. In Lubbock, the tortillas will be flying there at Jones Stadium as he joins us here on Danny and Justin. So I want to switch to coaches, and, another one dropped this week. What is the best job out there right now, Josh?
I think if there's proper alignment down there, the LSU job's a pretty incredible job.
Okay.
Now, there is a gigantic qualifier that I just threw out there because if it's not aligned, I don't really think people understand how bad these jobs are if there's not alignment, because it's kind of counterintuitive to what logic would tell you. Logic would say, yes, if LSU has full alignment, it's an elite job. But even if it's a mess behind the scenes, hey, it's still LSU. Well, that's not the way it works. The way it works is the expectations will always be national championship at LSU no matter what. The fans don't care about what happens behind the scenes. So if you have that alignment behind the scenes, you can win a national title there. Everyone up until Brian Kelly had this millennium. However, if there's poor alignment behind the scenes, you are coaching with 2 hands handcuffed behind your back, and you will never be able to win a title there. However, the fans will still expect the title because they don't know any better, and you can't just go to the podium and say, well, me and my athletic director don't get along, and my top 2 donors have closed their wallets, and there's all kind of infighting. They don't care. They just want you to win. So it actually works to your detriment to take those jobs when there isn't alignment way more than, if you just took a middle-of-the-road job or you stayed where you are. So that's another long-winded answer, I know. But if it's properly aligned, LSU is one of the best jobs in the country.
So let's talk about the coaches that might still be on somebody's target list, because everybody has their target list and who they want. James Franklin was supposed to be, signing his deal with Virginia Tech, and then that cooled off. But I want to talk about two coaches that already have jobs that have not signed extensions. And you know where I'm going. Lane Kiffin and Mike Elko. And Mike Elko's done a great job down at Texas A&M. Are these guys just kind of playing it out, seeing how much they can get out of their own schools? Are they going to be legitimate candidates for any of these open jobs, in your opinion?
I think Lane almost certainly is a candidate for those open jobs. And I don't think that anyone's going to get an answer from him until
he's going to be quick.
Very earliest December. I mean, the very earliest. The only way that's not true is if he just decides to shut it down and sign the extension with Ole Miss. I have it on pretty good word. That's just sitting on his desk right now.
Okay.
So I think that would be the way that gets shut down. Otherwise, I mean, he's going to listen to LSU. He's going to listen to Florida. Sure. I think that's pretty much a no-brainer.
Yeah.
As far as the others go, like with Lane, it's a little bit different. With Mike Elko, there's one job out there that he's rumored for, possibly, and that's Penn State.
Yeah.
And I think it's pretty straightforward. They'd love to have him. They think he's a good fit up there. He would be a good fit up there. But as good a job as Penn State is, he's got a better one right now. And so you got to come over the top to pry someone away from a top job. Mm-hmm. And I don't know that that's even possible to do. Like, all due respect to Penn State, I would strongly lean towards us seeing a breaking news headline in the coming weeks that Mike Elko has signed a new deal at Texas A&M. I'd be really shocked. Like, on a scale of 1 to 10, probably about a 9 to a 9.5 shocked if Mike Elko were to leave A&M.
How impressed are you with that job that Mike's done down there?
I'm impressed. I'm not surprised. I remember when he took the job from Duke, I talked to some other coaches that had faced him, that knew him, and remember, this is sort of in the same cycle as Saban retiring at Alabama and Kalen DeBoer taking the job at Alabama. So that garnered all the headlines. And then sort of behind the scenes or under the radar, A&M hires the Duke head coach. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, that's great, and he won at Duke, but not a flashy name. People don't know much about Mike. So he goes there, and I remember a lot of the coaches I spoke to said that guy's going to kill it because he's got two things at his disposal. He's got premium evaluation skills, and he's got great developmental skills. He had to have those because of where he was working previously. And they said, you're about to strap rocket boosters to that with the amount of money he's going to have there and the resources he's going to have there. He won't lose the ability to evaluate and develop. He'll just have a ton of money to go get premium athletes to do that with. And sure enough, already, just 2 years in, you're seeing them turn that roster over. Very few kids they took haven't hit so far. They got a lot of young guys playing. The guys out of the portal, both are big-time star contributors for them. I think that will continue. And, the one theme about A&M is there is a sizable contingent of the college football public that believes it's just impossible to win at A&M. And their only evidence is no one's done it before. Mm-hmm. And I've always thought that was really dumb. If you know anything about A&M, Texas A&M is an elite job right now. But it's only been that way a little over a decade. Like, Johnny Manziel came through there, did what he did, and it transformed everything at Texas A&M. So I don't really care what they did or didn't do in 1983. Texas A&M in 2025 has existed in its current state for a little over a decade. And in that time, you've had your Kevin Sumlins, you've had your Jimbo Fishers. You haven't had the right guy there. They've got the right guy there now. So it's a very unique situation of a really old program that still doesn't have its iconic coach like Bryant or Saban at Alabama or Royal at Texas or Woody and Bo. You don't have that at A&M. Mike Elko could be that. And this far into the lineage of A&M football, you're still looking at a guy who could end up being the face of that program.
Josh Pate with us on the Danny and Justin radio program. And just moving back over to Oregon, played a close game with Wisconsin before their bye.
In a monsoon.
That's a good qualifier there. But did Indiana maybe give a blueprint to Oregon's opponents on how to beat them?
Well, the caveat there is, can you do what Indiana does? Mm-hmm. And, I don't think Iowa is equipped to play that kind of game at all. Now, the follow-up to that is maybe there's more than one way to try and challenge Oregon, or just like there's more than one way to try and challenge anyone. I think, specific to this weekend's opponent, you look at that, and I don't think Iowa cares at all how anyone else played anyone. Iowa plays one brand of ball,
right,
and they're going to do it, and if it can be 44 degrees and sideways rain like it may be this weekend, that just helps them, but they just do what they do. But if you look ahead and you look maybe to a first-round playoff game or a semifinal, quarterfinal, whatever, I do think anyone in their right mind is going to look at what Indiana did. But at the same time, what's really valuable about that game is Oregon being able to look at what Indiana did. Just like Ohio State last year. Ohio State goes up there, catches a close loss. Well, they self-scout. They learn a lot about themselves. And then in the rematch, it's not close. So who's to say that couldn't happen on the other side? Who's to say Oregon couldn't do the same thing?
So, Josh, so that leads me perfectly into this question is, do you trust Dan Lanning and his staff that they are going to self-correct and self-evaluate? Because you've sat down with Dan and his staff and Tosh Lupoy and Will Stein and others that they can go back and say, you know what, this is what we need to change. We're going to go back to work.
Yeah, I sure do. I trust they'll get the most out of the team. Now, if the team is beneath, like if their maximum capability is beneath that of a national title, that just is what it is. And then you tee it up and you try it again next year. But I think that absolutely that will be the case. And then the other reason I say that is to go back to last year for a second. I really think Ryan Day and Ohio State put on a clinic on how to peak at the right time. And I remember going up to Columbus last spring before last, and they were really, really focused on that. That was their primary focus is we're coming up on this new playoff era because it was going to be the first expanded playoff, and they were really focused on the concept that they may need to win. They may need to play 17 games to win it all, and how different that was going to be. And so it was no surprise looking back on it that they played the way they played, and then all of a sudden they revved the engine way, way late into December, and they ended up being unstoppable. I think a lot of folks learned from that, but I don't think any team learned from it more than Oregon because they had to experience it. And so, I think Dan and his staff will be really good at self-scouting, and I think, tasting your own blood a little bit early may serve to benefit them. But you also got the added component of the way they may have changed their process internally there to mimic what Ohio State was able to do last year, and that is peak at the right time. If I'm right about that theory or those theories, we'll start to see evidence of it this weekend because starting to go into November, that's really when you want to be playing your best ball.
Oregon to be on the Ramen Noodle Express this week?
I think the line's about right. I'm actually kind of scared because I look at three common opponents now. Like everyone's paying attention to how both of these teams already played Indiana. Well, they both played Wisconsin, too. They both played Penn State, too. So, if you look at the results being fairly comparable, actually, Iowa blew Wisconsin out, granted in better weather than Oregon experienced against Wisconsin. I think it's a little sign of respect that Oregon is favored by nearly a touchdown in this game right now. So I'm leaving it alone. I'm just going to be a bystander and watch it.
All right, Josh, we really appreciate your time. Josh Pate's College Football Show. You can catch it on YouTube on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays, ESPN, On 3 Sports, Yahoo Sports. Josh, thanks.
I appreciate it, guys.
He's solid. What can you say?
The man knows what he's talking about.
Yes, he does. So there is a Big Ten coach who has been told he is coming back next year, who's been on the hot seat. Talk about that as we unveil our Big Ten power rankings. We actually have time to talk about our Big Ten power rankings.
How about that?
And not about cloned dogs when we come back on the Danny and Justin radio program. If you missed Josh Pate, the People's Commissioner of College Football, a moment ago, here on the Danny and Justin radio program. Well, first of all, shame on you. Can we reenact?
Shame.
So that's what I'm saying. Can we get that drop?
Yes, we can.
Of shame, the Game of Thrones shame with the bell and everything else like that. Yeah, let's do that, please. I appreciate that. But my point being is that you can go back. So just because you missed it doesn't mean you miss out. You just go back to the podcast, Danny and Justin, wherever you pod. So if you do Spotify, Apple, Amazon, iHeart, Odyssey. Can I name them all off? I probably could, but you know where you get your podcast. Just type in Danny and Justin or type in the fastest 60 minutes, and we're going to be there for you. Okay. We're going to do our Big Ten power rankings, right, Justin?
Yes,
in
we
a
are.
second. So, but some news out of the Big Ten. Wisconsin head coach Luke Fickell is going to return to the Badgers next season, according to athletic director Chris McIntosh, who hired Luke Fickell.
Surprise, surprise.
Shocking. Because I think if Chris McIntosh says Luke Fickell, there's the door, I think it would stay open until Chris McIntosh walked through it. So Wisconsin 2-6 overall, winless in Big Ten. McIntosh told the team today that Fickell's going to return next year. So there are going to be some changes according to the AD, including increased investment in the roster and program, meaning more dough, along with an ongoing analysis of every facet of the program, which I interpret as there's going to be a lot of assistant coaches looking for jobs, unfortunately.
Hot take, I'm not surprised by this, actually. I'm not surprised that they decided to just keep him. That's kind of what they're indicating. Also, did you see J.J. Watt? He went on the Pat McAfee show, and he was kind of talking to them, and Pat McAfee trying to be like, like you can get this Wisconsin program in there going and, give some speeches. And he was like, I tried.
He tried.
He already tried. That's what he basically, he came across as very much like, not good.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So in 3 seasons at Wisconsin, now listen, it was literally 4 seasons ago. Luke Fickell was like the hot young coaching
with sauce, right?
At Cincinnati.
Yeah.
It took him into the college football play. Wasn't the playoff then? It was the BCS.
No, it was playoff.
It was still the playoff.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, still the playoff.
And they played Alabama, I think.
Think so.
And lost.
And he's gone 15-19 since taking over Wisconsin. Very un-Wisconsin-like. And as long as you still have the specter, he's still alive, of Barry Alvarez haunting over the program.
Yeah, well, he's very much
he's very much alive.
Yeah,
that's going to be a problem.
Let's say that they're not going to make my top 10 for the Big Ten power.
All right, the Badgers are hosting number 23 Washington Saturday, and then finish the year at Indiana, and then home against Illinois and Minnesota. So those Illinois-Minnesota games, those are winnable.
Sure.
But I said they're winnable. I didn't say they're going to win. I said they're winnable.
Yeah. That's why I said sure. I didn't say
no.
not.
You said that. You said that a little sarcastically.
Are you
sure?
You know a little quirk about the Big Ten that I didn't notice until like yesterday.
Okay, tell me.
You know the highest letter in the alphabet in the Big Ten conference?
Come on,
it's
bud.
I. That's pretty far down there. Illinois is the closest to
and
A.
Indiana.
Yeah. Iowa, Maryland, and then it's all, all M's and O's and P's and then U's and W's.
And
Isn't that
R's.
crazy?
And R.
And an R,
There's R
yeah.
there. There's no U's in
UCLA, USC.
Oh, that's right. Okay, UCLA. Yeah, sorry.
Yes.
I forgot about that.
Isn't that quirky?
That is very quirky. You find these little nuggets for us. All right, let's do our Big Ten power rankings. So you just want to name. So again, if you haven't listened to our program before, we rank the top 10. We put everybody else in the muck from 11 to 18. So we don't tell you in any particular order 11 to 18. We don't rank everybody from top to bottom, but we do rank the top 10. So you want to start with your 11 through 18?
Sure. I'll give a little tip of the cap to Northwestern, who just missed the cut for me. They probably should be in that number 10 spot for me, but they are not. Nebraska, I'm going to totally take off after the Dylan Raiola injury.
Oh.
Yep, they're not in my top 10.
Okay.
So, well, I'll just explain in a second. Purdue, Michigan State, Wisconsin, Penn State, who I tried to keep in there for as long as I could, Rutgers, Maryland, and I think that's it.
Wisconsin,
did I say them not already?
No, you
Wisconsin is definitely and their 27 conference points will not be in the Big Ten top 10 for me.
All right, so for me, I'm with you on Northwestern, but I did put them 11 through 18, probably at 11.
Probably 11.
Like at the number 11.
Right.
Penn State, Northwestern, Maryland, Wisconsin, UCLA, UCLA. I want to say UCLA. Purdue, Rutgers, Michigan State.
That's legitimately what I thought it was as a kid, by the way.
UCLA?
Yes.
Wasn't
Unironically.
Okay. All right. Number 10, Minnesota for me.
Okay, they are not my number 10. They are my number 9, so a little sneak peek there.
Okay.
UCLA is my number 10.
Okay.
Speaking of UCLA. Okay. I don't know. So this is where I was going to get to the point of, are your power rankings projections to the end of the season, or are they how they're playing like right this second?
Right now.
Mine is almost a little bit of a projection of how I think that.
So why don't we talk about this in the production meeting on how we're doing?
I think that's fine. I don't think that we have to power rank things the same way. I just think it's interesting to think about because
try and be aligned, though.
I know, and I take into account of what things have happened.
Okay.
But I also think that it's important to sort of say, okay, well, for me, for instance, this is why I brought this up. UCLA lost heavily to Indiana last week.
Yeah, they got boat race.
But I'm going to still keep them at 10 because it's Indiana. And I think that UCLA's turned things around. I think by the end of the year, they will make sense of that number 10.
So you have UCLA at 10.
Minnesota
at 9. I had Minnesota at 10. I have Nebraska at 9. So I'm taking, again, I'm not
that's
taking
where
about
I think the difference is. I'm just
Dylan
right.
Raiola. Yes,
he's gone for me. That matters.
They might drop out of my top 10 next week, depending on how they play.
I'm just trying to get there a week ahead.
Yes, you are. All right, so I've got them at 9. Number 8 to me is the Fighting Illini. I've got Illinois there.
Me too.
I think. Come on, now we need to have some other, discussion or difference here.
No, I think that Illinois makes sense. They've kind of in terms of the teams above them, they've lost to many of them.
Yeah.
Head to head,
They're just such
good.
I'm
very
so
much
conflicted with this team.
It's because they fit in this weird category in the Big Ten. They're definitely above the Minnesotas and the UCLAs, but there's no way that you can put them above those other teams ahead of them.
If they would have some consistent play with Luke Altmaier at quarterback, I'd much more believe in this team. But they just can't.
Yeah.
And they haven't.
Disappointing in the year.
Who do you have 7?
This is where it gets really tough.
Okay,
the
good.
4 through 7 is really tough.
Okay, good.
I ended up at Washington.
Okay. All right. I have Iowa at 7.
Wow.
I have Iowa at 7.
Oh, I can see it. I mean, that's fair.
And I have Washington at 6.
Is it because they don't have any super big wins?
No. This is going to be a tipping point for me. Listen, if they pull off the upset against Oregon at home, and I don't know how much of an upset it'll be, even though Oregon, I think, is a touchdown favorite.
Yeah.
That would be a marquee win for them.
Yeah. I think that you could talk me into any of these teams 4, 5, 6, and 7, honestly.
I agree. So who do you have at 6?
I have Michigan at 6 because they lost to USC, and then we'll kind of get to the top of the conference.
Okay,
but I think that because of that loss to USC, I would have put them ahead of USC, but they have the head-to-head loss, so I can't do it.
You got Michigan at 6. I've got Washington at 6. I've got Michigan at 5.
Okay, so I had Michigan at 6, and then I had USC at 5.
Okay, I got USC at 4.
Okay, I can see it. I mean,
so
one
who do
of
you
the
have
best
at
offenses.
4?
I have Iowa.
Okay, well, yeah, you just want that 3-4 matchup. So you're looking for that.
Well, I
no, you believe in it.
I think it's the defense for me.
I think 1 through 3, although there's a little bit more hierarchy between 1 and 2, and then Oregon up at the top. I think you're right. 4, 5, 6, 7. See, and that's
You
where the
can talk me
cutoff
into
is.
any
one of
direction.
those in any order.
100%.
And we all had the same teams, just we moved them around just a little bit. All right, so let's do the top 3.
Yep.
Ready?
Oregon, Indiana, Ohio State.
There we go.
I did think about putting Indiana number 1, though.
No, you can't. Remember what our rule is? Our rule is what?
No, that's your rule. That's your rule. I can do whatever I want with my rankings. I don't know. Does Indiana have a better win? Does Indiana have a better win than Ohio State? Maybe.
It's all
Texas?
relative.
It is all
it's
relative.
All relative right now.
So I think based on resume, you might put Indiana ahead of them, but I think Ohio State's the better team. So ultimately, that's where I'm going to go with it.
Okay. I'm not going to argue with you. It's fine.
Oh,
You're not
a
wrong.
joke!
I got fired from the bank
We
today.
did the same thing
A
ultimately.
woman asked me to check her balance.
did.
So I pushed her.
Dad jokes!
My dog is not fat.
Oh.
It's just a little husky.
Oh.
Tomorrow on the program, we have a writer from Iowa.
Yes, we do. Let me grab his name real quick.
Okay.
So I can...
And I will be. So we're going to be talking to this writer from Iowa earlier on in the day. So we'll replay that interview, even though it'll be live for you on the Danny and Justin radio program tomorrow. We'll have our big bets. I will be live at Coquel Casino in Coos Bay, North Bend.
Sean Bach from 24/7.
All right. Sean Bach will join us tomorrow on the radio program to talk Iowa, Oregon. Your phone calls, your bets. Go to Bigger Bets with a number 1 for the I on Twitter. The games are up there right now. You pick your games. Got to have it in before kickoff. But you also can call in tomorrow on the Oregon Man Clinic's hotline, all right? You can bet against us, right?
Right. Go vote for the best mascot in the state poll as well.
That's on the Fox Sports
Eugene. It's our pinned tweet right now.
Okay. Newport as well? Fox Sports Newport? Or did you put it on that one as well?
I think it's on the Fox Sports Eugene right now.
Okay, just on that one. All right. Back tomorrow with the program. Thanks for lending us your ears, my friends. God bless. Put a smile on your face, someone else. They deserve it. So do you. For Baby J, I'm Danny. We'll talk again tomorrow. Peace.